Hello, everyone. Welcome to our YouTube Murder in Retrograde podcast YouTube channel.
Yay, welcome back. And it's like we're coming to you from the past because you're going to see this in the future in 2021. I hope it's amazing.
Yeah, the future that's way better, right? It's gotta
Really,
be.
I really hope so.
Yeah, really wild and crazy New Year's
I was
Eve
just going to
doing
say,
our
what are you
podcast.
doing? Are you going to do anything tonight? Big
No, of
party?
course not. Of course. Yeah, I'm having like 40 people over doing a super spreader event.
No, I know. We have do you have any New Year's traditions though? I don't love like I don't go out on New Year's ever, regardless of COVID. But like since having kids, like we kind of do like for our tradition loosely is like we do instead of having fancy dinners, whatever, I just make like a bunch of appetizers and cheese plates and it's just like snacky foods and like
How
we
fun.
play board games and I told the kids because their uncle recently taught them poker, so they've like got the betting gene,
Wow.
but I'm taking it down a notch, and I'm just gonna get dollar bills so we can play left, right, center. Because it is so fun when you
Nice.
have like a couple of because it's just us, but there's four of us, and then my mom who's in our bubble. So yeah, it'll be
I
fun.
love that you guys play games as much as us. And it's quite frankly, it's kind of easier for us, right? Because we have a girl and a boy. It's four people. It's like perfect for any board game, but we fight for so long over what we're gonna play. It's like what are we gonna eat tonight? Like Cruz always wants to play Life, and anybody born from the 80s is like,
I
no,
know
it's
it's
like the
like
only thing that's
Monopoly.
worse than Monopoly. He always wants to play it just because he wants
Oh,
to play with the little things, which
yeah,
I did too as a
yeah,
kid.
same.
Um, but I have four crazy controlling family members, myself included. So it's
Yeah.
like all out
It's oh
war.
yeah. Oh yeah. And it's funny. So I can be very competitive, but I do find like with my little ones, I try to like reel it in because it's like not, but all of a sudden my mother inserts the picture and her and I are like fighting about whose turn it is or what happened
Oh,
or it's
right.
so
She's an
bad.
Aries and
Oh,
a Taurus, and then
it's
your husband is a
brutal.
Cancer.
And then
Those are
I
like the
know.
three most
Well,
competitive
and then we've got the
signs.
Libra who's like, it's got to be fair. Everything's
And
got to be fair.
Libra.
And then I've got my other mini Taurus. It's real interesting. Let me
Is
know.
your Libra a cheater at
Oh, yes,
games?
100%.
Oh my
The
gosh.
worst.
My Libra, he just straight up says, "I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna cheat. And I'm gonna win." I'm like, "Well, first of all, don't say it if you're gonna do it." Jeez.
So
But yeah,
funny.
we play board games. Growing up, my parents would always let us take pots and pans up and down the street and bang them.
Oh,
You
that's
ever heard
cute.
this? I'm
No.
sure the neighbors really loved it. But yeah, my parents would be like, "Bang them as hard as you can." And we'd walk up and down the street
That is
doing
actually
it.
adorable.
Um, but no, the kids go to bed early and then we're lucky we can see fireworks. Actually, they don't do fireworks anymore because nobody's out.
I
Do you think
promise
they'll do
you,
them?
in my town where people are crazy, there will be fireworks. I guarantee you. It'll be
Actually,
nuts.
you know what I just read this morning on the news? Our area is the hotbed of COVID right now, and they're making a mobile hospital in Fountain Valley. Did
Oh
you know
my
that?
God,
They're
no.
making one in Fountain Valley and in Irvine.
Oy. That's great.
Yeah, I also heard a crazy thing online that in LA, I don't know if this is true, but it
Oh,
was
it
a
is the
doctor.
quarantine. Are you talking about the quarantine?
No,
Oh.
there was a doctor that said that they just they broadcast over to the EMTs some order, which means hospitals are full. So if you find somebody at a car accident and you can resuscitate them, you
Have to.
pronounce them dead at the scene because there's nowhere to take them. And I don't know what it's called, but it's an acronym. It's like PC, blah, blah, blah. But it's like just pronounce them because we have nowhere to take them.
Oh, jeez
And
Louise.
again, I saw that online. I don't know if it's accurate, but it sent chills
I
down
think
my
it is because I
spine.
saw something else saying ambulances being turned away. So I think it's probably within the same umbrella
Please
of
be careful,
stuff.
people. Just stay home. You don't need
I
to
mean, if
drive.
nothing else, just don't drive. So there's no car accidents. And then, I don't know, that part freaks me
Yeah,
out.
I mean, by all means, if you have to work, if you're essential, if you
Yeah.
can't afford to stay home, I understand. But those of you that can, please try to, if you can.
Oh, it's so scary. And then
I
now,
know.
not to keep talking about this because I'm sure nobody wants to keep hearing about it, but they just found in California, of all places, the
San
second the
Diego.
second strain is here.
And why is it traveling amongst people
I
who
think
have
it's
not
just I
traveled?
don't think it has anything to do with the travel. I think it's just like the flu. It in the
It's
sense that it's
mutating.
mutating. Yeah, it's mutating.
Yeah, you're right. Of course, because I
So,
mean, I don't know that I had it, but I felt like I did, and so does my
mhm,
husband, but we had totally opposite
yeah.
um symptoms, but I've heard people have the most crazy symptoms. So I don't know. But again, yeah, nobody wants to hear about this. You didn't
Listen,
come here for COVID, you
nope.
came here for true
Moving
crime.
on. Speaking of
Yeah.
true crime, give it to me. What do we got today? I'm
So
super
there's some
excited.
interesting things happening right now, especially during COVID. It's kind of a crazy time, right? Because I can't imagine it's easy to go out and investigate crimes at this time. But I'm sure a lot of you that follow true crime have heard of the Instagram model Alexis Sharkey, who was found dead in Texas on November 28th. She was actually, her body was found by a maintenance worker. I believe he worked for the trash company in Houston. They lived outside Houston, and he was just going on his path down a rural road, and he saw feet sticking out of the bushes. And he came up to her and, well, first of all, the worker saw, and he was so scared that he just went and called a supervisor. And his supervisor said,
Smart.
"Don't worry about it. I'll come check it out." And at first he said, "I think it's a mannequin." So the
It's never
supervisor
a
came.
mannequin. It's never a mannequin.
What do people think? That mannequins, that's just the way you get rid
I
of them? You
think
just
that's like
toss them
how our
out?
I think our brains do that to protect us, I swear, because it's like trauma,
Yeah,
trauma. It's a
you're
mannequin.
right.
Back away.
Yeah, you're totally right. So anyhow, the supervisor came out, was in shock. He said that it looked like his words were, it looked like she had just been bathed, that she was clean, she was nude, she had no signs of any injury. And so immediately, of course, they called the police. And what's interesting is that, so he said she looked clean, right?
Yeah.
The two, they believe she was there overnight. So that day she was found and the day before, it rained, like torrential rain. And she was found in a muddy bush. Why would she be clean? And he also said it looked as though she was gently placed there. And I was like,
Oh,
that's somebody who knows somebody, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk allegedly about she didn't have a great marriage. Things were going on in her marriage, although her husband has completely denied that. And then her mom was trying to get her body returned to Pennsylvania, where she's from, to be buried, and her husband was preventing that. So it's getting really sticky, and they still haven't released any autopsy
I
findings
was gonna
or
say they didn't say how
toxicology.
she died.
No, I'm sure they're still doing toxicology and all of that, but she also had a bunch of friends. She was in an MLM, and they all said that she was not doing well, and was saying that she and her husband weren't doing well. So who
You had some
knows?
opinions on these ladies though, right? Like you were saying they kind of seem I
They seemed like they
mean,
were eager to get, their faces out there. And
but for them or for her?
right, right. And also, we've both been involved with MLMs. Who knows how close she truly was
Right.
with them. It just seemed, I don't know. When you see somebody on the news and you're like, are you here for the person, or is this
Right.
for you? That's just
Right.
kind of the feeling that I got. But everybody acts differently in situations, so what do I know?
I'm
Um,
curious. I want to watch and see because I don't know, maybe it could be, I mean, I don't know anything about the case, so I'm totally going rogue, but I mean, maybe they had something to do with it.
it's very interesting. I mean, I'm sure at first glance she's a gorgeous model on Instagram, and she's always posting pictures of fashion and things like that. But she was actually a very intelligent girl. She went to the University of Pennsylvania. It's a Ivy League school, majored in biology, wanted to become a doctor. So
Um,
it's a shame. It's a shame anytime something like this happens, but it's just her poor mother. And I hope that they get more answers soon. And you best believe I will keep you um, informed of
updated.
everything that
Yeah.
happens.
And then maybe we'll do like a full in-depth episode, like once everything's kind of being put out there a little bit more.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah,
share it
I would
because
love that.
I don't know a lot about it, and I'm very interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah. And then there's, funny enough, another Texas case that
Is
is
Texas
very
becoming the
interesting
new
to me.
Florida?
Let's hope not. No, I think everybody's just going to Texas. Like
Yeah,
all the
seriously.
Californians, everyone, all the crazies are
Everyone's
coming to
fleeing.
Texas. But this is a very strange case. So, 21-year-old Texas student Jason Landry has been missing for weeks. His car was found crashed backwards against a tree. So it went backwards against a tree. I don't understand how that was. So you'd have to back into it, I guess.
Or
He
if
was
you're
coming
like
home.
out of control and spin into it or something.
That's true. He was coming home from college for the holidays on December 13th when authorities believe he lost control and possibly crashed his car. All of his belongings were found in his car. And so the family and EquiSearch had been searching for him for over a week before calling it off on December 22nd. And they released a statement at that time that read, quote, searchers and law enforcement investigators have utilized multiple resources in the search for Jason, including a helicopter with infrared cameras, UAVs, which are drones, side scan sonar, scent dogs, as well as searchers on foot, ATVs, and horseback. We will not speculate on what may have happened to Jason, but we feel the vast area surrounding the accident scene has been thoroughly searched, and Jason still hasn't been found. As a result, Texas EquiSearch is suspending our search operations for Jason until law enforcement investigators obtain credible and sufficient information that would lead our team to a more specific area to search.
What? So his
This is
car and
weird.
everything is there, but he's nowhere to be found.
Someone called 911 and said his Nissan Altima was abandoned and it looked like a bad crash. So the person was concerned. There was a small amount of blood found in the car. And his mom, Lisa Landry, told ABC 13 the next day her youngest of three children had just finished his finals, was driving back to their home in Siena when she believes this accident happened around midnight, possibly. So it's just crazy. Where is he?
Right? Like I don't understand. Like, and they've searched the immediate because my first thoughts, did he get like out and he's disoriented and like walked and passed out somewhere, or did somebody pick him
It's
up?
virtually impossible with how many acres they've searched
Ay, ay, ay. That is
and just how the accident happened. He didn't call anybody.
oh right.
Obviously a
Was his
lot.
phone? Like,
Yeah, there's
oh
a lot
goodness.
unknown. So we will be following that case as well and bring you hopefully an episode if we get more information on it. And
Oh my
hopefully he's
gosh.
found.
Yeah, right. That is wild.
Yeah,
Stuff like that, like when my stomach starts hurting, I'm like, oh my God, what happened to him?
I
It's so
know.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Not that it's new. Whoa, where'd you go? Bueller. All right. Well, there was a technical difficulty. So
Yeah.
now we're back. 'Cause,
Sorry, my computer died, everybody.
so not a big deal. I just thought it was so funny because I was like talking to myself and I was like, wait a second, I am all alone.
I
Um,
ghosted you.
so we dropped off when we had talked about the last two cases that we are going to keep kind of our eye on and want everybody to kind of be aware of because there's just crazy things going on. And then I wanted to just do a quick Nexium update. So I'm sure we put this in our podcast, but Keith Raniere had been charged 120 years, and Claire Bronfman was charged convicted, or what is it? Charged,
Convicted, yeah.
convicted for 7 years. And then I believe the rest of them are going to be sentenced. That's the word I'm looking for. Sentenced in this next like month or so. So that's kind of what's coming up. And then interestingly enough, I don't know if you know this part, but Allison Mack had married a woman, even though she was known to not be a lesbian or bisexual to anybody's knowledge. And they did it, and I forget her name, but they did it because she was Canadian and was trying to get a visa.
The
But
other
she was
girl was,
also,
or
yeah,
Allison.
no, the other girl.
Okay.
And then she just recently filed for divorce, Allison Mack. So that's also what's like in the news. But then the most interesting thing that I don't know why it didn't really dawn on me that I hadn't seen her name pop up is so the doctor that did the branding, Dr. Danielle Roberts,
Right.
she has not been charged of anything. She has been, as far as I can find, she's been there's an investigation launched like by the medical board into her
Mhm.
practices so she could potentially lose her license, but she has not been charged with anything. And she was one of the people that was like dancing outside Keith's prison cell, like in the streets. Like she is full-fledged,
Wow.
still hardcore Nexium supporter, Keith supporter. It's wild. I had no idea that she was still kind of in the mix and hasn't really faced any consequences as of yet.
Is she a practicing physician still?
Mhm. Well, I think that she's suspended because there's an investigation.
Right.
And I hadn't found anything that they had released anything about her license being taken away yet. I'm
Uh,
sure could
I would
be, but
imagine that physicians have to go through regular psychological testing, wouldn't
mhm.
you? But I don't know
I mean,
because
you would hope.
that's kind of weird. Maybe I'll go down that rabbit hole at some
I
point
might
and
we might have to like dive a little bit deeper, but when I saw that she was one of the people dancing outside of the streets last summer, I was like, "What? That's so weird."
wow. It's yeah, there you go. It can happen to anybody. Smart people, dumb people, everybody falls into the cult
It's just
trap.
interesting that when it all starts to like fall apart, that there's still some people that are like, "No, it was amazing. He's amazing." Whatever.
It's so weird. It's so strange. Yeah, like still going down with the ship. It's so weird.
Bizarre.
I have some updates as well.
Yeah, tell
I
me.
don't know if you've noticed, but Breonna Taylor has been in the news,
Mhm.
and I am so happy to report that the Louisville police are moving forward to fire two officers involved in the raid.
Oh,
So the first one would be Detective Joshua Janes, and he was responsible for the no-knock search warrant.
okay.
He received a pre-termination letter Tuesday. So it seems like there's tons of bureaucracy when you're firing police officers. Like, as we said in the Breonna Taylor case, every single police officer, when somebody moves to fire them, they have a hearing regardless of what the circumstances were. So I think they have to jump through a bunch of hoops, but it's like a done deal that they're going to let him go, as well as Miles Cosgrove, which is the man who was just
Oh,
shooting willy-nilly, and
blindly, yeah.
they were able to determine, I don't know if they've determined for certain, but it was in a bunch of the documents that they're pretty sure his bullet is the one that ended up killing Brianna. So they're going to move to fire him as well. But I'm going to look a little bit further into it. I don't know what that means. Like, can they go become a police officer in another town?
So
But
yeah, right. We've seen this before where cops have jumped into other jurisdictions or something. But it'll be interesting to see. Well, I'm kind of hoping that at this point that his name is so widely known within this case that people are gonna want to stay away. Uh I mean, he ruined someone's life and ended their life and ruined a lot of people's lives, and he should face some sort of consequences. So sorry, bye.
yeah, absolutely. They all should. So that would be the second and third officers to face. Well, I mean, they're just being terminated. I don't know if they're going forward with charges. Even the termination, they've hired attorneys and they're going to fight the cops because there's a ton of people that don't have donated money to them fighting any kind of legal battle they face because these people think that they were completely in the right, which is just, how wrong is that? How political have things become? Like even law enforcement, criminal justice. I mean, it always has been. White people are just waking up. It's
Yeah,
just so so shocking.
it is
Are you
shocking.
ADD sidebar? Are you watching Your Honor?
No, I try. Okay, no. I was trying to watch it the other night, but then I was like doing dishes and I was like, I can't. I feel like it's something I needed to pay attention to. because within the first 5 minutes, I, like, still was not I was, like, a little bit lost, so I turned it off, and I'm gonna go back to it.
Yeah, you gotta go back to it. It's Bryan Cranston is in it. It's a drama. It's not based on any true story
That's
or
what I saw.
anything.
That's why I was surprised that that was coming from you, and you're like, "You have to watch it." I was like, "But it's a fake. It's not
I know.
real." I'm
I know. I'm
surprised.
very much into the true stuff. So yeah, if this has grabbed my attention, it's good. It's definitely shocking, and I will be honest, I've had to fast forward quite a bit. Like it's too much for my
Mhm,
mental health. I can't
mhm.
see some of the scenes, but it's a fantastic, so I'll just tell you the premise. So
Sure.
Bryan Cranston is a very prominent judge in Louisiana, and his son is involved in a hit and run where he hits somebody and then he flees the scene. And so the judge, he has to decide, like, am I going to protect my child, or am I going to turn him in? And it's just every single episode is like every nightmare I have, because it's like they're good people, they just made a mistake, but people are coming after them and they're like lying to people they love. And oh, the
It's
psychology, the true crime,
it actually sounds a lot like Defending Jacob. Did you ever watch that?
I think I did.
It was based on a book. It was a
Yes,
short
yes, I did.
series. Oh,
Yeah,
same
yeah, yeah.
kind of feels, like, your heart's,
Definitely.
like, jumping from your I mean, never mind.
Yeah.
Ah, but it's the same kinda when it's about your child and yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
and the son is a similar character. Like, it's always like the most meek, mild type of child that you just naturally want to protect. Oh, and the kid that gets hit is part of the mafia. So then
oh,
there's also
another
that
layer.
side to it, which I'm trying to figure out what kind of mafia it is in Louisiana. Like it seems Italian, but I can't really tell.
I have no idea. I'm not a mafia.
Oh, but anyway, my whole point of this ADD sidebar is it also has a parallel storyline with a black kid going through the criminal justice system, and so you
Mm,
see a white boy and a black boy and how
interesting.
it's different. And those are the parts where I force myself to watch it, but
Yeah,
it's disgusting to see how there are two
different.
totally separate systems. And if you don't have money, if you don't have privilege, if you don't have a certain color skin, it doesn't matter what you did. It doesn't matter how innocent you are. You're done.
Yeah.
So, it's a really powerful show. Very well done.
I'm gonna I have to watch it. Kind of on that note, I was gonna ask you, but I feel like this is the perfect time to ask you. We're kind of doing like we're in a new year, so let's do a little bit of a wrap up. Anything this year that you saw that you can remember that's like a must watch, or even if it's like in the past week that you've been kind of sucked into, other than this one that we're talking about. I feel like there was quite a bit of documentaries that came out, and I don't know if you have any off the top of your head that we could like recommend or
Yeah, I just watched a really good one on HBO called Crazy Not Insane. Have you watched
oh,
that yet?
no.
Oh, wow. This woman, she's like the pioneer of forensic psychiatry, and she was involved in some very high profile serial killer cases. And she came up with a theory that there is definitely a possibility to have multiple personalities, which was always controversial. And this was in the
Mhm.
80s and 90s. And she was basically saying, like, something has happened to these people, and that's why they become serial killers. She wasn't giving it an excuse, but
Yeah,
she was
but
like,
she
let's
was
try to figure
connect the
out
dots.
why
Yeah.
this is happening instead of just give death row. Like, that's what I'm always interested in. Like, can we
Wow.
figure out the psychology to try to prevent it? So, anyhow, she was really brave and came out and believed in this and proved it scientifically. And everyone's like, she's a quack, she's ridiculous. Now, come 2020, all of the stuff that she discovered is like the Bible, according to most forensic psychiatrists. So, it's really cool. She's a strong woman, and she came up with all of these ideas and proved all of these people wrong and just wouldn't stop. It's totally my kind of story, and it's all
Yeah.
psychology, but I think anybody would be interested in it.
That sounds good. And then I mean, I was into it, but again, you have to be in a place where you're going to I don't know if this is just me and you, but I tend to be doing something while listening most of the time.
Yeah,
I very
always.
rarely am sitting in front of a TV or an iPad or something and watching. But we recently just watched Room 2806. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget the numbers because
Oh
we were
yeah,
both
of
like,
course.
room something.
46, 8, 24. Yeah, I could never remember.
But that one was really good too.
I
I
loved
I
it.
really had never heard about the case. Um, very interesting to see different kind of dynamics within that. I thought it was really good. I thought it was
Yes,
really,
that
definitely
was
worth a
phenomenal.
watch.
What was that on?
I think
Netflix?
Netflix. I think it was Netflix. Yeah.
There was another one on like the same time on Netflix. What was it? We both watched it.
There's
Oh,
been so many. That's what's like. I should have probably wrote these down beforehand.
this wasn't necessarily recent, but did you ever watch the HBO documentary? I swear they make the best documentaries
Really do.
about oh, it was called November 13th. It's on Netflix now, and it's about
See me writing this down. I know I haven't even heard of this.
remember the terrorist attack in Paris at
Yes.
the concert?
Yes.
It was called the Bataclan Theater in Paris, and that's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. You're gonna need a pallet of Kleenex because all I did was cry the entire time. Oh, and it's that those situations are heavy for you because of the Vegas
Yeah,
shooting. So I don't.
I don't do well with I mean, listen, it's all heavy, but for some reason the mass shootings are very difficult for me to watch.
Yeah, but the reason that it's so good is because the humanity is beautiful. The
Yeah.
things people did to save each other's lives and like opening their house and being like, get in. And I'm so obsessed with Europe. I know I'll end up living
Yeah.
there at some point, but I just love how that culture and that just the first thing was like let's save
Be a
people, and I
community.
love that band, Eagles of Death Metal, and the singer talks a lot and he was just like profoundly affected by it, and
Sure.
I can't even imagine. He feels so much responsibility because all of those people came there to see them. Anyway, that's a phenomenal documentary, and it's 13th of November or November 13th, something like that, and it's on Netflix.
And then if you have been living under a rock, The Vow on HBO was wonderful. Middle Murder on Middle Beach was probably my
I
favorite thing I
loved
watched
that.
this year, like that I can in my recent memory that I can think of. Because I'm sure at the
Right.
beginning of this year there was things. I remember when we were like first in quarantine, I feel like there was a lot of
It was the
things to
Tiger thing.
watch. Oh, that's what it was.
Everyone was obsessed with Tiger King.
Well, you're the one that told me to watch it.
Well, I was totally obsessed with it.
It was
Was
so good.
was the cat thing during quarantine?
What cat thing?
Don't F with
Oh, I don't know, but
cats?
I still haven't watched it.
That's really good. Oof, that one really blew me away. That's a good documentary. And then no wait, in Investigation Discovery does those movies we love. Like they did a special on Jessica Chambers, and the one you just watched, the Kentucky
Yes,
Murder
the Kentucky
Mystery.
Murder Mystery I think is definitely worth the watch. And we're gonna do a future episode. I mean, I guess we can talk about this now too. Is anything that we want for the next year, 2021? I know we're gonna do more specific topics for YouTube here. One of them is like the I can't even talk.
Coercion.
Coercion. With cops and confessions and how often it's happening, and it's kind of crazy because we're seeing it in the case that's coming in 2 weeks, and we've seen it in documentaries and stuff, and it's just in this documentary there's a little bit of that there, and so
Yeah.
I'm excited for us to dive deeper into that and hopefully bring people some helpful information about your rights and knowing it's so and funny, not funny, but I don't know what triggered this the other day. Where I was in the car with my 13-year-old and something happened, and I was like, if you ever get arrested, I was like, you don't talk and you get me or a lawyer. Do you understand me? And he was like, what?
There is no
Like, you do
too
not
young to
ever. I
teach
was like,
that.
I was like, I don't care if it's something so obvious that you didn't do it. I was like, you don't say a word. You get
Yeah.
me or you get a lawyer. I was like, you do not talk.
A perfect example of that, which I think a majority of people have seen, even if you're not into true crime, is Making a Murderer. Because remember the
I
boy
have a
that
confession.
was,
I've never seen it. I
are
know.
you kidding me?
No.
Oh my gosh. Well, that
I saw
is
like half of it, I think. I don't think I ever finished it.
That's the most wild case of coercion I've ever seen in
Yeah.
a confession. He was clearly developmentally disabled and didn't understand, and they just wore him down until he was like, I want to leave. And his brain couldn't conceptualize what that meant. And now he's in prison for life.
And I think it's really important for us to highlight really kind of what happens in those situations because people hear about it and they're like, why would you confess to something you didn't do? And
Oh,
there's so much that goes into it that people just don't understand of like why you get put in that position and how. And it's wild. Like
and there's so
just
many tactics that are legal that should be illegal that they
100%. And they're
use.
not legal in other countries. Some of the stuff that we do here, it's our laws around that should definitely change. And that was something that I saw in this Kentucky murder thing is that they did some very questionable, like on the line of legal and illegal activity, the police. And, when an interview all of a sudden is missing 5 hours of audio and video, and then the next thing you know, there's a confession, you have to wonder why. What was happening during those 4 or 5 hours? It's just
Oof, my heart
wild.
goes out to every single person in jail that didn't do anything. I can't even imagine. I mean, I think about that frequently, and I just, oh,
Well, thank goodness for things like the Innocence Project and people who, look into cases like that because
yeah, and that's
it's
why we're gonna
happening
hope
way too
try to
often.
teach people, simple ways to spread the word about your rights, and especially this day and age because it's really important.
Yeah. And if anybody has topics for the next year that they want us to dive into, other than that, let us know. And I think we'll just make it, maybe once a month or so, have like a very specific topic of something we want to dive into a little bit more. Or, yeah, I just think we're going to be seeing our faces a little bit more this year.
Yes. So
Very
let us know what
exciting.
you want to hear about.
Yeah. So anything else for the people?
I don't think so.
All
How about
right.
you?
Nope, that was pretty much it. I just wanted to talk to you one more time for this YouTube video.
Yes, yes. Of course. I'm plugged in today. That won't happen again.
That was so funny. I was sitting here like that, like talking. I was like, I just see it. It's like one of those when you're on the phone and you're like, at what point did they not hear me? Because I just talked to myself for however long.
Exactly.
All right, friend. Well,
Okay,
we'll see you
folks.
soon. And this next week or this week, when this comes out, you will be listening to Jessica Chambers on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast. So please go check it out. It's heartbreaking. Lots of I would love to hear people's feedback. Every week I post on our Instagram like what the topic is and or what the case is and something about it. And I would love for feedback after listening to it because there are some things that are really for debate about
Yes.
people.
There's so many things that we can open a discussion about for sure. So let us know what you think.
So until next time, see you later.
Adios.
Bye.